If you're a fan of heritage reproduction or military clothing in general, there's a good chance you know about Buzz Rickson's. The brand was founded in 1993 and is one of the originators of the amikaji heritage style that came out of Japan around that time. The post-World War II landscape of Japan was an incredibly interesting time culturally. In the 1950s, a huge number of American soldiers remained stationed in Japan even after the war had ended, and that American culture started to bleed through into Japan's society. The presence of these soldiers led to a really interesting blend of American style and attitude with traditional Japanese concepts and values. And it's here we see kind of a new era for modern Japan. With huge incentives to almost Americanize themselves, the Japanese youth started really latching onto kind of touchstones of American culture. This was everything from films to music to TV to fashion, and we start seeing the roots of what we know as amikaji here. Things like jeans and denim jackets, varsity gear, even kind of old school American military equipment. It became almost an act of rebellion against a culture that many Japanese youth saw as quite oppressive. As the decade progressed though, this gear became harder and harder to find, and with clothing not being produced at the same quality that it was in that initial post-war period, there became sort of a necessity and a real demand for this high quality standard of clothing. It's in the early 90s, specifically kind of weirdly 1993 was a big year for it. We start seeing these major players of American heritage reproduction arrive on the scene in Japan. These brands popped up with an aim to faithfully reproduce what the owners had kind of loved in their youth. Certain brands took on denim as their thing, others took on kind of varsity and ivy, and some took on military. And maybe the biggest player in the military reproduction scene is Buzz Rickson's.
This is no surprise because Buzz Rickson's was started by Toyo Enterprises, a brand which has been making Western style clothing in Japan from the very beginning. They were selling clothes to American soldiers as far back as the 1960s.
Named after Steve McQueen's character in the film The War Lover, which again kind of speaks to the owners of these brands being really influenced by that American post-war culture. Buzz Rickson's aims to faithfully recreate mid-century American military clothing. They are known for quite a lot, and we've gathered some of our favorite garments, and we're going to break down what they are and why they're so good. So I think what Buzz Rickson's are really well known for, probably more than anything else, is their jackets. Their jackets are some of the finest quality on the market, and they are oftentimes stitch for stitch reproductions of the originals. They really carefully base what they produce on their archival pieces. So they will use the same zips, the same buttons, the same materials if available, and the type of materials they produce are really specialist. I've chosen 5 jackets to talk about today, 4 of which I think are really incredible kind of baseline standard collection pieces, and one is a really special limited edition one that I'll talk about in more detail. So we'll start out with probably easy pickings, an N1 deck jacket. The deck jacket has obviously become a kind of a signifier of heritage style. Everyone owns a deck jacket. It's almost like a gateway piece into the wider world of heritage. And Buzz Rickson's version has everything you'd expect from your N1. The Buzz Rickson N1s are made of this lovely Bedford cord like you'd expect from an original. This was used because it was slightly water resistant. It kept you protected on the oceans, on the ships that they were sailing on. They're often sprayed with USN insignia. This mimics, obviously, the tags that were sprayed onto the original deck jackets. A lot of soldiers kind of customize their own, and Buzz Rickson's does kind of special edition versions where you'll get the name like Jack painted on, you'll get a little insignia that's kind of custom to that collection, but usually it'll just be the USN. They are fully alpaca lined, so the whole body and both arms will keep you nice and warm, and it's obviously got this lovely alpaca lined kind of iconic collar shape. Something really special about Buzz Rickson's version of the N1 is that they are demo-texed. Demo-texting was a kind of an antiquated technique done in the 1940s, which kind of moth-proof and pest-proofed your garments. So when they were in storage, especially if they're in a warehouse, kind of not yet ready to go out into service, they didn't get damaged by any pests. Buzz Rickson has applied this treatment onto this jacket, not because they're worried that their customers have lots of pests in their houses, but because they are just that committed to reproducing these original garments to the same standard. In terms of the shape, they are quite forgiving. They are a little bit wider than your traditional deck jacket, but they still have that nice kind of average hip ending length. So it's still flattering, it still keeps you warm. Ultimately, it is just a very, very faithful reproduction of an original deck jacket. Next, we have another icon of the heritage military world. It's the M65 jacket. These are on the younger side of what Buzz Rickson reproduces. Usually they end around the 1950s, but of course this is a Vietnam era jacket produced in 1965. But it was actually too hot for a lot of the soldiers to wear, especially when they're in the jungles and the fields. And I think that's partially why it's become such an iconic jacket. There was so many available in military surplus stores that it was just kind of turned into a civilian jacket. Buzz Rickson's again has been as faithful as possible as they can to the original versions. The outer shell is made of a cotton nylon blend. The original fabric was called Nico, but Buzz has developed their own custom blend for this back satin shell. All the details on here are really nice. You've got custom crown zips, you've got this lovely hidden hood in the collar here, the epaulettes on the shoulders, this great 4-pocket design that's become sort of signifiable of the M65 shape. You've got a storm flap and quite a plain but very useful cotton lining. Something really nice that you'll see with a lot of the Buzz Rickson stuff as well is they have these really classic kind of military issue tags. So always on the neck. You won't really see too much Buzz Rickson branding. It will be there, but they've kind of disguised it in as if they are the manufacturers of these original garments. Getting a little bit further back in history, we have the peacoat. These date back quite far, but this one's based on kind of a 1930s version, 1940s version, just before the N1 deck jacket was introduced. They are made of a really lovely hardy wool. It's quite tough, it's quite firm. And you have these lovely naval style buttons with the anchor and the stars. It's a longer shape than you'd expect from something like an N1 deck jacket, but that can be quite useful, especially if you're in a colder climate. I would say a peacoat is probably your best bet if you like layering up and you just want something you can chuck on over an outfit and still look really good. So something that's really worth noting about heritage reproductions especially is that they are built so much better than sort of your high street version. Especially with a garment like the peacoat that is produced quite a lot. This is kind of become a fashion item for a lot of people. This is built like the originals and like you could almost stand it up. Obviously this sort of stuff was originally produced to survive wars. So by copying it so faithfully, it's probably going to survive whatever you can throw at it. A real strong suit of Buzz Rickson's collection, I feel, is their leather, and I've pulled out a really, really nice example of why. This is one of their A2 rough wear jackets. This is obviously based on an A2 jacket, and that was the jacket produced just before we sort of saw the nylon MA1s, LB2s come into production. So it is, again, quite an old style. But Buzz Rickson's have done a fantastic job at recreating it. It's cut from a really, really sturdy but quite supple bronco hide, which, as far as I've seen, ages absolutely beautifully. It's quite tough to start out with, but the more you wear this, the more it will mold to your body. It's kind of really built with personalization in mind. You have the kind of poppable collar fasteners there that the jacket became quite well known for, as well as the collar tab there. A really nice talon zip, just like the originals. And you've got, again, like we mentioned, a really nice authentic military style tag in there, as well as this one's got some US Air Force stamps. Something I really like about this one as well is it's got these lovely red wool cuffs and hemline here. I think it really adds some personality and just gives it another little pop of color. And then the last jacket I've pulled out is going to be quite difficult to show off because it's quite a heavy and a long one, but it is the special edition Parker and MA1 double jacket. It's pretty mental. It is a classic M51 style Parker, so it's that really long shape. You'll recognize it from probably like the UK mods. And inside it is this absolutely fantastic MA1 flight jacket. It's got a double zip so you can fasten the jacket inside, and then you can also take the jacket completely out and wear it on its own. The Parker has everything you'd expect from a traditional M51, but where I think this jacket really, really succeeds and is really quite special is the MA1 hidden inside of it. Buzz Rickson's does not usually produce their flight jackets with a safety orange lining. A lot of their stuff is based on earlier models. So the safety orange was introduced quite late into the war. This is an exception. It's got this beautiful, quite toned down safety orange lining just on the body, and then the arms are green. So it's a really, really fantastically kind of unique take on an MA1. You also have, which I think is really cool, instead of a US Air Force tag, they've made another little exception and added their lovely eagle motif with Buzz Rickson's genuine wear. Following on from the jackets are the sweatshirts and thermals. I think sweatshirts and thermals are a bit of a dark horse for Buzz Ricksons. A lot of people don't really realise the quality and the fit is as good as it is. I find their sweatshirts and thermals really, really flattering and super, super warm. Starting off with my lovely thermal. This is a long sleeve Henley version of their thermal. They do short sleeves and kind of crew neck versions as well. I personally love the Henley version. I think it adds that really nice heritage touch. But the features of this thermal, you've got a really lovely thick waffle knit on it. It's super, super warming. It's been designed to really trap your body's heat. 100% cotton, which I think is very important. Most thermals these days have a super high polyester content. This one does not. Contrast stitching all across the garment, which adds a really nice kind of touch of color. It has a relatively slim cut, so it hugs your body quite nicely, which I personally find quite flattering. I think this is a piece you can wear even into the summer on its own without feeling like you're dressing up. It's a really versatile piece. Next, we have something that Buzz Rickson does really well. It's these zip front sweatshirts. These are rather unique. You don't see these much. I think the only other brand that produces them at the same kind of quantity that Buzz Ricksons do is Toys McCoy, but we'll talk about them in another video. This is based on an Air Force cut, so you will get a lot of the time this insignia here, the US Army Air Forces stamp on the front, sometimes on the back. You've got a universal branded zip, which was really common at the time of the original production of these pieces. 2 front pockets and some really nice ribbing along the hem. It's also worth noting that a lot of Buzz Rickson sweatshirts are loop wheeled, which adds that extra little bit of quality and just makes sure that your garments aren't going to become misshapen as you wear them. For more of a traditional sweatshirt, you've got quite a selection actually. This one I've gone for is the Freedom sleeve version because I just really love this arm detail here. It's a raglan sleeve, but done in a way that's really, really noticeable, really, really kind of uniquely shaped. You've got a brushed interior on all of these sweatshirts, which I think is a really nice touch because it just makes sure if they are touching your body, they're really nice and soft. There isn't an incredible amount to say about these sweatshirts other than that they are just quite obviously really well made and very flattering. You've also got classic hoodies, and obviously these come with the kangaroo pockets that you'd expect from any other hoodie. Compared to other brands that focus more on sports and collegiate wear, Buzz Rickson still produces most of their sweatshirts on those military originals. So everything from the stitching to the ribbing on this kangaroo pocket has been extra reinforced, extra kind of sturdified. Shirt-wise, you also have a really nice selection. It's mainly just classic cuts, engineer work shirt vibes. They're not doing anything too crazy, but what they are doing is super, super versatile. First off, probably the most classic of them all, we've got this lovely chambray shirt. This is made from a really nice light chambray, that classic blue color. You've got a Buzz Rickson overalls tag and a little size and contract number stamp here to kind of solidify that old school military style. All of these shirts have 2 front pockets here, a really nice simple placket at the front. And of course it wouldn't be a heritage shirt without your selvage ID here with a bit of chain stitch runoff. If you're after something a little bit more unique, we've got the covert work shirts. These are really cool. They're like a salt and pepper fabric. You've got dagger collar, 2 front pockets again, and again that really nice lightweight airy feel. They're fantastic shirts for summer and really good for layering in other seasons. And then if you want something a tiny little bit more heavyweight, I really like these herringbone work shirts here. They're cut with a really quite noticeable herringbone, which I really like, and they're a little bit heavier, a little bit more sturdy than the covert and chambray versions. Again, it's the exact same cut as the others. You've got this dagger collar, the 2 front pockets, and this lovely simple placket. And again, no selvage, but chain stitch runoff. Buzz Ricksons also offers a really nice selection of trousers from the entire kind of spectrum of 1930s to 1960s American military history. You've got aviation trousers, you've got army trousers, you've got chinos, all of which are cut really, really nicely. And because it's mid-century stuff, they're always quite wide, which is really nice if you're looking for something with a bit more movement. Firstly, we have the classic M51 trousers. These obviously pair with the M51 Parker. They were kind of a general purpose use trouser. They were made for combat situations, so they're really, really kind of flexible in how they're used. There's a lot of space to them. They're very, very forgiving movement and fit-wise. They've got the super recognizable little hangers here. There's a big debate over what these were for, which we're not going to go into, but they are here. You've got suspender buttons, you've got cinches, so lots of customization over how you tighten them around your waist. Really nice back flap pockets to keep all your stuff secure. Front flap pockets as well, so no one's going to be stealing your phone or your wallet anytime soon. There's plenty of storage. I think you've got 6 pockets in total on these, including these gusseted side pockets here. These would have been used for storage of tools. Today you can store your mints in them. Another really cool kind of touch on these is you have these knee pleats here. Again, we're talking about the freedom of movement of these trousers. This is a great example of that. And to top it all off, you've got these ties at the bottom there, so you can scrunch them up, stuff them into a boot, wear them in different ways. They're a really versatile pair of trousers. Next, we have a personal favorite of mine. Many of you will have divisive opinions about them. Is the monkey pants. Monkey pants you will recognize for the giant bum pocket. This back pocket is kind of a love it or hate it thing. Obviously, originally it would have been used to store equipment. A lot of soldiers would store their sleeping bag or kind of their parachutes in them so that they could sit down comfortably in kind of any situation. I've seen people use it for some odd things. Today, I'm not sure there's really a practical use for a pocket this big on your ass, but I think it's a really nice kind of heritage detail, and it's such a conversation starter. The amount of times people say, "What's that on your trousers?" It's quite fun. Really nice feature of these as well is you have this huge kind of button fly here. This top one fastens around the waist to make sure that the fastening is nice and tight, and then you've got your traditional button fly as you'd expect to find it. Another kind of divisive design choice on these is the lack of slip pockets. You don't have anywhere to kind of comfortably put your hands if you're a pocket in hands kind of guy. You do instead have these big utility pockets on the side, which have plenty of room for storing your stuff. These have belt loops and ventilation holes on the waistband, and they're cut from a really lovely herringbone cotton, which I think ages very nicely. Lastly, I want to use a pair of trousers to kind of give a little bit of a shout out to Buzz Rickson's denim. I think Buzz Rickson has some really nice denim and they use it in some quite interesting ways sometimes. And this is the point of the video where we're going to transition away from their strict heritage reproduction and move more into their design choices. So these are a really interesting take on an M43 trouser, which originally would have been made of like a cotton poplin or a jungle cloth, but here have been made of this beautiful, really dark indigo denim. You have all of the traditional features that you would expect from a pair of M43 trousers, except it's been cut with a different material, which I think adds a really nice flair to quite a standard issue piece. You've got these lovely laurel buttons all across, which is something that you found during the rationing period of World War II, which is again a really nice touch. And they've been lined pocket and waistline wise with this lovely green herringbone fabric, which just makes sure your pockets don't blow out too quickly. You've also got hangers here, cinchable waists, and buttons for suspender fastening. These are also a really distinctive cut, super wide top block, super wide leg. These are a really nice trouser if you're into more of that streetwear look and you want to incorporate some more kind of heritage history into a more contemporary look. It wouldn't be a Buzz Rickson's video if I didn't mention a lot of people's favorite line of theirs, the William Gibson collection. As many of you may well know, this collection was born out of a science fiction book written by the author William Gibson. In his novel Pattern Recognition, one of the characters wears, mentioned by name, a black Buzz Rickson's MA1. And this kind of got his fans talking. I'm not sure what the crossover is, but there must have been a few of them. They were saying, where can we find this Buzz Rickson's black MA1? And enough people asked that the brand actually produced it. This original black MA1 then spawned an entire collection of black versions of their non-spec military garments. I've pulled out 4 of my favorite pieces and I'm going to walk you through them. Firstly, let's go for the black version of that chambray I talked about earlier. This Again, like all the shirts, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but it's the exact same cut. You've got the dagger, collar, the 2 front pockets, the very simple placket, selvage ID, chain stitch run off. But this has been dyed this lovely jet black. Super lightweight and super versatile, and I think a kind of an essential item in kind of a good wardrobe. Next up, another item that I'm wearing currently, the original spec William Gibson chinos. These are based on a 1942 cut, so they have a super wide straight leg and a super high rise, which is very flattering, I find. In terms of details, you've got a whole rung of belt loops, so you can adjust the size around your waist if needed. You've got 2 back pockets, 2 slip front pockets, and some really nice metal buttons on the fly. It's also worth noting that a lot of the William Gibson stuff has their own tags, which is a really nice touch to all of these garments. If you like your leather jackets, not to worry, the William Gibson collection also extends to these lovely A2s. This is the same spec as the A2 we talked about earlier, but this time obviously cut with a beautifully supple black leather. You've also got black ribbing just to make sure it's super, super sleek and stealthy. And you've got that lovely Buzz Rickson's tag along with an original military style one. And finishing things off with probably my favorite jacket in the entire William Gibson, if not Buzz Rickson's collection. It's the Albert Turner & Co. MA1 in this amazing jet black nylon. I think a lot of the time when you're looking at darker flight jackets, you get the darker navies, but it isn't exactly black. Buzz Rickson hasn't fallen into that trap. This is really, really dark, sleek, and stealthy. You have everything you'd expect from your classic MA1, these snap pockets, this little tab here that was for clipping a oxygen mask, a really, really sturdy crown zip with the wind flap here to keep you nice and warm, and a super, super thick lining. This thing is really, really warm. And just to go back to how specific and detail-oriented Buzz Rickson are with their reproductions, this is called the Albert Turner & Co. variation of the MA1 because it's based on an original produced by Albert Turner & Company, who were the original manufacturers in this early variation of the MA1. So that's Buzz Ricksons. They are a brand that I think are super versatile, super high quality, and that everyone should at least have on their radar. There's a reason they are one of the originators of this heritage style, and I think there is also a reason why they continue to find such great success in Japan and elsewhere.